Hello everyone, this is Varied Nexus, and I just wanted to take a little bit to talk about RWBY Volume 5. Oh my god, this volume was absolutely amazing. I loved it. It was an absolutely brilliant volume, even though it did have some issues, and I'm going to cover those right now. So for these issues, I would say that the early parts of RWBY Volume 5 are definitely where the show starts to struggle. There is not a lot of main plot progression for the first half to the first two-thirds of this volume. And what I mean by that is since Ruby is the main character of the show, and since her and Team Ranger and Oscar and Ozpin and Crow aren't really doing much for a large portion of this volume, I was a little worried because Volume 4 was very much a personal character driven plot. It didn't really focus on the main story. It was more of this character development slash plot setup for Volume 5, which was fine because that is what we needed after the bombshell. It was the end of Volume 3. But I was concerned because we already got that in Volume 4, and we didn't really need it again in Volume 5. So that's really what kind of made me go, oh, I hope they're not going to, turn this into a solely character development oriented volume. But luckily, Rooster Teeth didn't do that, and they, in the end anyway, pulled an amazing climax. The climax of this volume is just, there's a lot of shocking moments, there's a lot of emotional moments. The fight scenes have 100% improved since Volume 4. I know a lot of complaints about Volume 4's fight scenes were that they were kind of weirdly paced and they had teleporting characters, as some people say. But this time around, I think Rooster Teeth animation really improved. While it may not be at the quality that there was during the first two volumes when Monty was around, but it's still really good by comparison. It's a good attempt, and I only think that Rooster Teeth animation is going to get better and better from here on out, especially considering just the sheer how do I put this? The sheer increase in quality between volumes 4 and 5. As for the actual plot of this volume, while I'm not going to give spoilers, I will say that the first half or so of this, the real stories are Yang's and Blake's storylines, and they really do carry the first half. In all honesty, we finally get to see Yang confront her mother properly. She's not knocked out this time like she was on the train in Volume 2. We get to see that conversation, see Yang kind of tell her mother what it is that she has been feeling all these years since Raven essentially abandoned her. And it was a great conversation to see. It was a long time coming. And I really liked how Rooster Teeth used Raven to tell Yang some very important plot-relevant information that she has missed out on since she's been out of the action for an entire volume. So that was good to see as well. We got to see Yang meet up with Weiss, and the two of them meet up with Team Ranger, which it was a good little character moment there, even though, like I said, there wasn't much plot progression going on for them specifically. We got to see Crow really start to kind of find out what it is happened in Haven, since apparently all of the instructors and students at Haven Academy are just gone for some reason. That was an interesting little investigation. Even if it was only for a single episode, it was good to see kind of a standalone Crow storyline, and I do hope we see more of them in the future. As for Blake's storyline, it started off feeling like it did back in Volume 4, at least for me, which was kind of unnecessary. In Volume 4, I wasn't a fan of Blake's storyline simply because it was just so slow-paced, there wasn't a lot going on, and in the end, the biggest plot-relevant detail to her story didn't happen until the end of the volume. So to me, I didn't enjoy that too much. While it was okay, it wasn't like as good as the rest of the volume. But this volume, while it may have started out slow, it definitely picked up towards the end. We finally get to see Blake get a handle on this White Fang conspiracy that's been going through Menagerie. we finally get to see this culmination between Blake, who's trying to counter the White Fang, and the White Fang's response to that. And it was truly an excellent end to that story arc that started off pretty rocky. So overall, for the first half, I think they did really well, and I really enjoyed watching Blake and Yang's storylines, even though I would have liked to have seen more of Team Ranger and their supposed training. I would have liked to have seen more of Ozpin/Oscar in this training as well. It would have been cool to see Ozpin maybe instructing Oscar on how to prepare his body to become a hunter, or not, yeah, a hunter, or just in a way kind of training Oscar to become him, since Ozpin eventually is going to probably end up possessing Oscar unless, something happens, I don't know. As for the second half, this picks up beautifully. Everyone, for the most part, gets to meet up in the second half of this, except for Blake, who it doesn't show up until the very end, but it was cool to see everyone kind of meet up. We got to see most of Team RWBY. We got to see what's left of Team Juniper and Crow and Ozpin and Oscar meet up in Haven Academy and show down with Cinder, Emerald, and Mercury, even Headmaster Lionheart, to kind of fight over this maiden relic. We got to see Ruby use her silver eyes once again, and Jean finally unlocked his semblance, which seems to, at least how the show explains it, amplify other people's semblances, so very much a support skill. If I was going to put this into like an MMO term, he's very much the support unit there. But it was really cool to see that. We had a bit of a scare with Weiss. I'm not going to say what it was because I don't want to spoil that particular detail, but I have to say it was handled really well, and I like how they used that to Jean's betterment. I enjoyed seeing how Salem, quote-unquote, healed Cinder. I really like seeing that. It kind of reminds me a bit now of, like, she reminded me a lot of, God, what's her name? Velvet from Tales of Berseria. But also, as far as her quote-unquote being healed, it was almost like a Darth Vader kind of moment, where she has that arm, and you're like, oh my god, what did Salem do to you? And it was so cool to finally see that. And I have to say, this conclusion of this volume has a lot of character story conclusions. We see a lot of plot points either tied up or made just that much closer to being tied up, and we get to see a lot of what the villains of RWBY are really capable of. We finally get to see exactly what Salem's deposition is to failure, and the way she treats people who do fail her. We got to see two maidens go at it. I won't spoil that particular thing, but that was awesome. It was truly amazing. Reminded me a little bit of the final fight between Noctis and Arden in Final Fantasy 15, where they're like all super powered and they're going at it. I thought that was really cool. But overall, I'd say that this volume was definitely a surprise for me. At first, I was a little concerned because I was like, well, we already had a volume filled with character development and a bit of downtime from Volume 3, and I was really, at the beginning, I was concerned that this was going to be another volume like that, and I was like, oh no, Rooster Teeth, we don't need that. But in the end, this volume really, just pulled out all the stops, completely just surprised me, left me in awe, and I have to say, I cannot wait for Volume 6. Yeah, it's going to be so good. It's great to know where it is they're going in Volume 6. It's great to see that we're finally, in a way, taking this fight to Salem, or from what it appears to be. And there's definitely a lot of surprises ahead, with certain characters and certain plot events and maybe even character relationships. So I'm definitely looking forward to Volume 6 and cannot wait to see that. But, enough about me, rambling and talking about how I love this volume. What did you guys think? Did you like RWBY Volume 5 as much as I did? Did you maybe not like it as much as I did? Did you hate it? Let me leave a comment below. Let me know. And if you want to kind of see more of my content, I would appreciate a like, subscribe, share. But other than that, I will see you guys next time. This has been Varied Nexus, signing off.